All right, Ferrari Nut, you there? You there? All right, have you included your audio? All right, hold on. Uh, if anybody's listening in, mic check here. Mic check.
Check, 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 check. Welcome to round 3 of the BRL F2 Championship here at Suzuka in Japan. Deer Hunter, these guys are up and ready to go for qualifying. They've got 18 minutes to set the best time they can. What do you think we're going to see tonight?
I think we're going to see a real mixed bag here tonight, guys. We got a bunch of guys coming in from F1, mixed in with a bunch of the BRL F2 regulars. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a mixed bag at the top and certainly in the midfield here today.
I would agree, and it looks like we've got one of the Racing Point Force Indias. Now one of the Toro Rossos is going to be first out on the track here. Who is that going to be? That is going to be Ard, actually, first on the track. One of the F1 guys.
Ferrari, what are you expecting out of the BRL F2 regulars? Do you think we're going to see a few shine through here and be able to contend with some of the F1 guys, or do you feel like the battle is going to mainly be in the midfield like it has been as of yet this season?
I think they'll be mainly populating the midfield. There could be a chance if a little bit of chaos goes on towards the front for them to get a podium and maybe sneak in a bit of luck. But I think the top guys from F1 that we got here, like Aldifer, Ard, who else is in here? Maverick. And I think those guys are going to predominantly be towards the start. We've already got somebody with a penalty. Somebody ran into...
Oh, there's a Sauber. Sauber's off. That's Vander.
Yeah, Vander's off.
He's wrecked out, heading through the long left-hander.
I think somebody had a collision for him because somebody got a 5 grid place penalty off that.
Yeah, that was CJ. Got a 5-place grid penalty.
Ooh, tough start to the night for CJ and Vanderstar. CJ comes into the points here in 8th place. Just 8 points on the board. He's not going to gain any points starting from the back like that, I don't think.
And to note, even though we have Bundy is not here, I'm sorry guys, Digiproof will be joining in quali. We have 16 runners here. Only 9 will get points this race. So what will happen, let me explain this real quick. Any driver that is not an F2 regular, they will automatically be moved down. And a BRL F2 regular will be moved up into their place. So even though we've got 16 who will be racing here tonight, only 9 will get points.
As it should be. The rest of these guys are just out here for fun, a little bit of practice, as Ard slides through the spoon curve on his fast lap. He's coming down towards 130R now, the most fearsome corner on this track. 185 miles an hour at the apex, flat out, no lift, one line. Although if you're brave enough, it's a passing opportunity.
Trying to go on board with a,
Ard with the first salvo at a 127.569. Pretty good lap from the Toro Rosso driver. Maverick at a 131.98. I think he might have got held up in some traffic there because that's a few seconds off the pace.
And I can confirm that Ard, and as well as several other drivers, will be running no ABS in this race in preparation for BRL F1 next season.
Ah, good point. So we're going to see probably some mistakes being made here and there by some of these F1 guys who might not be used to the touchiness of not running ABS. As someone who runs,
here. My apologies. Go ahead, sorry.
As someone who runs ABS yourself for the moment, how is that change going to be affecting you predominantly when we take away the kid gloves, so to speak?
Well, I've been adapting to it. Obviously, I have to switch to no ABS when running ALR America, and I'll say that is probably one of the most difficult challenges when it comes to turning off no assist. No traction, fairly easily get a hold of as long as you have a wheel. If you got a pad, it's a little bit more difficult, but in my opinion, no ABS is one of the hardest things to get accustomed to. You just got to get used to it. You got to put your head down and get used to it. And I think some of these drivers, like Sparky and Art, like some of the F1 regulars and even some of the F2 regulars, like Sparky, like Mitch, like Slingshot, are trying to get used to no assist and possibly preparation to a jump up to F1 next season.
Yeah, it is quite. It's quite a jump to take off that last little assist, because that is probably the last thing that everybody takes off is anti-lock brakes. As Beef Baby is coming up towards the hairpin, putting just a hair of the wheel on the grass, kicking up a little dust, nice and cleanly through the hairpin, slowest corner on the track.
On board with Slingshot here. He hasn't had much luck this season. Let's see who he can put in his first time. P4 on the
Super Softs. Not a bad lap time. Just a quick update on the session. Maverick has improved to a 1:27.75 on his second lap. I think he'll be wanting to go back out on another set and possibly try to improve on that a little more, because the first lap probably took a little life out of the tires and a little speed. And now he's got 2 laps on those tires, so I don't think he'll be wanting to start on those, because if I am not mistaken, that is the softest of the 3 compounds that we've got here at Suzuka.
Whoa! Mr. Beef Baby up to P3.
Wow!
Where did that come from?
Apparently he's found the golden horseshoe. Because that was a banger of a lap. That's up. So of the regulars currently, Slingshot and Sparky, the 2 Mercedes, currently 1 and 2 in that respect at a 1:31.17 and a 1:32.25. So Slingshot's got a bit of a gap on the rest of them at the moment. He's got about 1.1 seconds.
Hold up here, Ferrari. We're about to go on board with Mitch in the Ferrari, who is undoubtedly, in my opinion, one of the most shining stars in the BRL F2 group. He has not had much luck this season at France, getting wrecked turn 1. Bahrain had a little bit of strategy and miscommunication with his teammate Avenge, but I feel like Japan is a really good track for him as we go on board and see what kind of lap we can put up here.
While you watch his lap, I'm going to watch the timing screen and watch his sector times. Through Sector 1, a 31.84. Compared to the man at the top, Hard at a 31.71. So
And I think I know what Mitch is doing. He has waited until about halfway through the session to do his first flag. Does that avoid the chance for him to get a good banking in? Possibly, because you want to get about 3 runs in. But this means he'll get about 2 runs, which means this lap, even though he's not going to be able to get a 3rd run in, but he will be able to get a better banking lap time compared to the rest of these guys. Because these guys went out all when the track was green. There's hardly any rubber on the track when most of these guys went out. This guy is going out halfway through the session, and I feel like this is going to be a really good lap for the Ferrari driver.
it would be, but he's invalidated it.
Oh man, had to the final sector, and it would have been for. Oh, wait, it didn't validate. It's showing a P3.
Oh, it showed he validated on the timing screen. It must have been the first.
I think he.
No, that's weird. It might have been the outlap, but wow, at 28.5, he jumps to P3 and the highest of the regular F2 drivers. Speaking of regular F2 drivers, and those who are not, Ard is currently warming up for a second blast around the track. He's coming through the spoon curve right now. I'm going to go on an onboard lap. Dear Hunter, if you'd be so kind to join Ard and myself for a lap of the Suzuka circuit from the Halo cam.
Oh, he's about to get ready for a fast one here. We had 8 viewers. Wow, that's I think that's the highest we've ever had in BRL and BRL F2 certainly. So, thank you for all that. We're about to go for a lap with the Toro Rosso driver as he comes screaming down the hill to start his flying.
Headed towards turn 1, 330 kilometers an hour, chucks it in 8th gear, all the way down to 4th, maybe even 3rd. Nope, he stays in 4th. And into the S's. This is so easy to get wrong through turns 3, 4, 5. Holding it tight for 6. And then up into 7. Try to be flat out through here.
Now I did notice something quite unusual. Usually heading into the S section, you want to flick it up into 6, then go storming through those 2 little S sections in 5th, and then drop it down into 4th into that right-hander before the long left-hander. Notice he kept it in 5th the whole way around. So let's see how much that it helped him on that first sector time in comparison to his previous lap.
Well, his first sector was a 31.74. What's it this time, dear Hunter?
Hold on. I will let you know. He's coming around this final corner. Or not final corner.
Comes around the spoon curve onto the back straightaway. And here we go for this flying flick through 130R right there. Try to get 2 cars through there. 2 tenths up at the moment. 2 tenths up at the moment. If he can hold it. Oh, he locked up. That might cost him the lap. Over the bump out the outside. 27 dead.
He gained a lot through that final corner. Even though he locked up just the tightest bit, he gained almost 3 tenths through that corner alone.
So now the question is, as I'm going to drop to BRL Maverick, who's on his flying lap at the hairpin already. He's got a little traffic just right in front of him, but they're going to get out of the way. That's Capone. He's getting out of the way nicely. Good driving etiquette from the Renault driver there. Coming up towards the spoon curve. We'll see where he is at in comparison to Ard at the end of the second sector here. He's about 3 tenths down. I think he's almost out of fuel. He may have backed off it.
Trying to think of somebody else to go on, but let's go a little slingshot. He's down at P7. I expect him to be a little bit quicker, but I think when it comes to race time, he'll put in the work and be able to get a solid finish here tonight.
Hopefully so. Hopefully we'll see a right old fight between the top Mercedes and top Ferrari.
Oh, somebody in the middle of the track. Into sector 1. Who is that? We got yellow flags all the way across the track.
That is Hobo. He has lost it. He lost it through turn 7, ended up in the gravel.
Slingshot was lucky not to get caught up in that.
Very lucky indeed. That could have ruined his qualifying. So he is currently in 7th place, and I think he might be on a better lap this time.
Oh,
he goes away!
He kept his foot in it, though. Let's see how it is. He
was a little up. He's 8. Yeah, he's almost a full second down actually through the second sector. So that lap's not going anywhere.
We're on board now with Revenge, the Ferrari driver. He's on a hot one. I don't know if he'll have enough time after this lap to do another here. I don't think he wants to start on the Supers. I'm surprised by the amount of people starting on the Supers here. I figured a few more people would go for the soft compound time.
Well, I think everybody saw what I did in the F2 race for the most part, or the F1 race. I started on the super softs and went to the mediums after about 10 laps. Mind you, I had a bit of help from the safety car at the start. But I think they might be paying attention to that a little bit, because that strategy worked.
It's a good strategy, but you've got to perfect it to a T. It is
really
so
do.
hard to manage your tires in quali. You've got to be able to put not a ton of wear on them in quali, but be able to still get a good lap in. And then you've got to manage them through that first turn of the race. The hardest stint of the race. When you've got full load of fuel on, you're battling people left and right for positions, and you're trying to focus in and be able to set the pace for yourself and for people around you.
Oh, Alpha, he switched to the softs in the pit, so he'll be going out here for a lap on those. I'll be surprised if we don't see him go a little quicker.
Oh, revenge!
Oh!
And he was 3 seconds up!
Oh, watch out, watch out!
Oh!
And he is right in the racing line. He is right in the racing line at a 130R. That is a dangerous place.
Who just missed him? I'm trying to go around here.
I think that was Beef Baby, I think. Yeah, that was Beef Baby that just missed him.
Oh, Lordy, the action is already starting. But he was 3.1 seconds up. He would have been at least up in the 6th place there. And he battled it.
Chucked it away, and you know what? He's still in the top 10 at the moment, which means he will not get free choice of tires for the start of the race.
I expect some of these guys to go quicker though. Jamaican, he runs AOR, he's very quick. Spooning, he's a solid driver, been able to put in some really good top 5 performances. I think he can. Trace me, we all know he can really put in a good showman in quality. And Digisploof, another solid top 5
Speaking of
runner.
Digisploof, he is off, coming up towards the spoon curve in the gravel. I'm not sure what's going on here, but there's a yellow flag in sector 2, and that's what it's because of.
I'm looking, he's in the gravel.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here.
I think he's just getting out of the way there. I think he lost it, that turn. And I think he's just trying to get back on the track here, making sure he doesn't cause any occurrence to anybody here. Maybe. Well, on board with no Traceman's on an outlap, and he's got the boogie here. He wants to be able to get a good time in.
Yeah, he is, because he'll make it. If he doesn't dawdle too much, he'll make it pretty easily.
So let's go on board with Aldifer here. He is on the soft compound tire. In his previous lap of the 29.7, I think that can easily be beaten on the soft tire here. But let's go on board with him and see.
And he's got traffic in his way. He's got traffic in front of him. It's Beef Baby. He's gonna get out of the way. That'll definitely slow him up just a little bit.
Just a little bit of dirty air. These F1 cars are so sensitive, even though it's just a game. The realness is there enough that the dirty air makes a huge effect just on a quality lap.
Yes, it does. It takes the air off the front wing, causes a little bit of tire scrub. Got a car going slowly out of here. That's CJ. Is he gonna get?
CJ, get out of the way.
Get out of the way, mate. Come on, move. There you go.
There you go.
Just barely. But that is the kind of thing you cannot have on a qualifying lap. Is people getting in just not really in your way, but when they're in front of you, it mentally gets at you a little bit. And it causes you to think, is he going to move?
And Japan is a tough circuit when it comes to getting out of the way. There are very few parts of the track where you can honestly avoid somebody else behind you who is at a greater rate of speed and not hurt yourself as well. I mean, you can go off into the wall or into the gravel track and break a wing or a wheel. So it's very difficult around this track, but there's no need for drivers to be doing that, and I'm glad he got out of the way just in time.
Yeah, maybe it would have been better for him to stay to the right, though. Oh, Oliver gets a little squirrely out of the last corner, and he does it.
Still going to be better.
27.9. Third place on the grid. McLaren's occupying second and third. Toro Rosso's first and fourth. And the first of the F2 runners in Mitch in fifth in the Ferrari. By a good margin over Beef Baby and the rest of the F2 field. He's the only F2 driver currently to have broken out of the 1:30 bracket.
On board with Sparky here, he's a few tenths up heading into the final sector here. He had a little bit of a moment coming out of Spoon, but if he can hold this tidy, he should be able to jump into the top 5 maybe here.
And he's going to jump to 4. So we will will have a Mercedes in 4th and a Ferrari starting 6th.
There's an incident to the pit race, spilling it hard.
Ooh, what happened there?
I went off over spooling to see him finish up his lap, and I just saw ours right in front of him, heading to the pit lane.
Bit awkward there. So that is qualifying done. Ard takes the pole by 3/10 over Maverick, both on the super soft tires. So I think the key for these two during the race is going to be don't squabble with each other too much. Get on with it. Build a gap to Aldifer, because he is going to come hard at the end of that first 10-lap stint. So probably around lap 6 to 8, you'll see that McLaren on the soft tire subject flows in on the Toro Rosso and the other McLaren, both on the super softs.
Ferrari, as we look at the lineup here, are there any surprises that catch your eye here in the top 5, top 10?
I think the biggest surprise would probably have to be... Well, I just think the biggest surprise is the amount of incidents and the amount of retirements we saw from that session. There were at least 2 or 3 cars that crashed out of the session.
Very valid point. You don't really expect it in the F1 tier. It's maybe a little bit noticeable in the F2 tier, but it's but I do certainly think that's a part of being in a lower tier. And actually, I need to lower the game audio once again better. But just for me personally, Sparky up there in 4th, Rage up there in 5th. I think Slingshot had a pretty good lap time there. I think Jamaican had a very good lap time there. So we could see some surprises in this race. See some people bounty some really good points here.
Hopefully so. Hopefully there's some good on-track fights. Be scanning up and down the grid as the race goes on here, just to manage the gaps between everybody and keep an eye on the action. Hopefully we see...
we have...
Go ahead.
We have word from Skeppy that the audio is perfect. So, should be a absolutely fantastic race to call here from the booth.
All right, we have our audio levels. On the formation lap now, Ard's going to lead them away.
Do you think there's going to be a first turn incident? These drivers have not had a field this large. We have 16 drivers in the field here today. You ignore Bundy, apologies. But the most we have had in a race this season so far is 10. So, do you think with the added pressure of trying to perform with some of the F1 owners and admins, some of their drivers in this race, do you think it brings some pressure to some of these F2 drivers, or do you think it sort of pumps them up a little bit, saying, hey, this is my opportunity to show what I can do and maybe have a good shot at getting into F1 next season?
I think it adds a little bit of pressure, but I also think it adds a bit of desperation on the part of the F1 guys, because they're not here for a championship. They are here just to race. And we've already got Capone and Hobo disqualified from the formation lap. So they'll be sitting on the grid with cold tires, and they're in 8th and 12th, so they're both right slap bang in the middle of the grid. They're going to have cold tires, so that could create some action in turn 1. As far as seeing an incident in turn 1, I think that is very likely because of the fact that we've got F1 guys mixed in with F2 guys who have nothing to lose.
Very good point. I don't want it to be chaos into turn 1, but unfortunately, that's what I think we're going to expect. I just hope guys can keep their wits about them. And going on to your point about those drivers who got disqualified onto the grid for the start, notice how cloudy it is. So if their tires weren't hardly up to temp on the formation lap, just know how cold they are going to be on the start. And
exactly.
In 8th, he's smack dab in the middle. He's going to probably lose so many spots. Spewing about back of the mid-pack, he's probably going to get jumped throughout the start. So it's just going to be a wild start here. As you can see the grid forming up, it is going to be a thriller here today for the BRL F2 Japan race.
Indeed it is. So as Ard takes the first position on the grid there. Allow me to...
Some of the guys in the mid-pack forming up here. Some of the guys in the very back. Getting the final guys lined up to their grid slots. They're about ready for race 4 of the first season of BRL F1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, red lights! Where's the way to go for the BRL F2 Grand Prix in Japan? Oh, we got a killer start. Oliver and Maverick trying to make their places in the McLaren. Let's see how it is through the mid-back.
Start, actually. Nobody spun around, nobody out of the race. Riding along with Sujay in the back just to keep an eye on everything as they move through the S's.
Very clean start. I did not expect that, as you already see that in the back trying to make moves to the S's.
Indeed we do. We've got Tracy and Vander starting 12th and 13th, starting on the... Tracy's actually started on the softs, and Vander has gone as the only man starting on the mediums. That could play into his hands very nicely shortly.
Local yellow sector 1, CJ has gone off through the long left-hander. He does not have damage, so he should be fine. They're stacked up. Coming through the hairpin. Oh, mighty.
Yeah, nice little concertina point on the track there. Everybody just files in there and they compact together, and then they spread back out like an accordion coming out on the exit.
Well, you were absolutely right when you said this midfield battle would be absolutely insane. I know it's the first lap, but it's just a log jam from about 8 to about 14.
It really is. This looks like an IndyCar race on an oval.
Oh, slingshot went a little wide.
And the baller just got hit. Baller just got hit in the back.
Hit the bump.
He's all right. He's still pointing the right direction. And he's got Baller on his inside. No, he's going to back out of it.
Jamaica did a very wise move. He backed out of it. He didn't force the issue. He knows we're only 2 laps in. No need to get too fresh. Oh, it's a bang!
He's out of the race!
Unbelievable! Driver's second in the points, and somebody else is starting. It's Sparky. Sparky has left the session.
What's happened to Sparky?
Sparky, our points leader, has left the session. Our first and second place driver in the points have both left.
Oh my goodness, that blows this thing wide open.
Oh my goodness, and I think Sparky might get a reprimand for that because he did not have any damage and he left the session on track. He retired on track. So that might be a reprimand from the stewards and admins.
So now there's going to be an AR car running around out there towards the back of the field.
Oh, Capone! Hunter Spoon. So we got a good fight for switches. You can throw a blanket over Slingshot, Jamaican, Tracy, and Vander.
Yeah, you could. But you know what? Slingshot is in the most compromised position right here because he's the only man in that train on the super softs as Ard sets the fastest lap at a 1:31.5. DRS has now been enabled, so the next time they come around the circuit...
He has a really good run.
Yes, he does. He is coming, but so is Tracy. Too wide, and he's going to get both of them.
Oh, too wide.
Contact.
Slingshot got pushed a little. He's not really happy about that.
No, he will not be. Because now he's got to get his head down. He's got to start tracking after Jamaican and hope that hasn't compromised his race too much. Because now, in addition to being behind them, he's in the dirty area. That is going to hurt those super soft tires even more.
And do you know who is absolutely loving all of this? Is Mitch. Because he is third in the points right now, and Avenged and Sparky, both the top guys in the points lead, are out of this race. And you've got Jamaican and Slingshot and Capone and Digi's Proof and Spoon and all those guys battling their hearts out.
They are.
Behind them.
They are fighting like cats and dogs, and we have Sparky who has come into the booth with us after that unfortunate retirement.
Not sure if he has his mic on or if he can say anything here. It looks like he's connected. Don't know why he left the
Well, here in a moment, we'll get down there and ask him.
Oh, Mitch, he is starting to make a run on some of the top goes. I did not expect this.
He is starting to get after Rage.
Oh, he's low on ERS though, but he will have GRS.
Yeah, he needs to turn that down and just ride his slipstream for a couple laps and build it back up and then go after him. You get it down below 10% in the deployment.
We are getting words. Sparky got dumped by a F1 driver, and according to him, it was Rage.
Oh. Well, now that
some stories here.
is interesting. We didn't catch it on camera, so unfortunately.
Yellow and second.
And Mitch has just overtaken Rage, who ran wide through turn 7. He passes him on the run up to the Dana curves. And Mitch is up to 4th place.
And he's only 2 seconds behind Maverick, who was right behind all of them. This is going to be an absolute incredible run for Mitch if he can hold on to this time he is making up on the leaders.
He is. He's only 2 seconds behind Maverick now. Like I said. And if he can continue to gain time and gain speed, really, he could get on the podium just on merit, which would be very impressive.
Oh, Rage closing up down the back straightaway. Will he make a move into 130R? Oh,
no, he thinks better of it. Took a peek, but thought better of it.
His run. He compromised to run into 130R. He got a bunch of dirty air. That'll compromise his front straightaway speed. Oh, it's Vander and Slingshot are going for a bounce. Vander drives into the crossover. He can't make it work. Rage sizing up another run here. Does he take a peek? No, he doesn't. But Mitch goes wide.
Mitch is very wide. Unfortunately, this is a one-line section of the track, and unless somebody makes a huge mistake, you are not going to get around them here. Mitch is running a little wider line through there, but it's working out for him. He's running away from it. As Maverick has closed right up on the back of Alter again in the McLaren fight up ahead.
Oh, we got a yellow. Oh, Maverick's going to pass him. That's got to be team orders.
Yeah.
Oh, he runs deep. Oh, they about front wheels.
Alder seems to be struggling with rear drift right here up the moment. I think he realized Maverick is just a little bit quicker and let him go. But Ard has already jumped. It has to be. Just how easy he made that. Ard has jumped out to a 6-second lead. So we're seeing a bit of the same thing we saw out of the Ferrari team in the Chinese Grand Prix yesterday. They switched positions, and the guy out front has just run away.
We are absolutely having incredible battles. Mitch and Rage for 4th, and Slingshot and Vander. Oh, they're going to go side by side.
Oh,
tell me not going to do this. Oh,
Vander thinks better of it.
Good lad, good lad.
Is he going to go for a move now?
Oh, it's Maverick and Oliver. They're swapping spots again.
What is going on down at McLaren?
Somebody needs to tell those boys that they need to worry about the driver ahead, because if they don't, the driver behind is going to catch them.
Exactly. If they keep mucking about, because Mitch is within sight of both of them, he can see them for the most part.
Slingshot finally made a mistake. Vander moves up to P8. Well done, sir.
And I think now that Vander is out from behind the Mercedes, he is going to just make that Alfa Romeo disappear down the road on those mediums. Because we're on lap 6. And those red tires are going to start to fall away a little bit, I think, at this point.
And to be honest, I'm surprised Mitch has been able to carry these. CJ
is out of the race. He is down at, I believe that's turn 4.
I believe it is. Digis is retired.
What's going on there? Riding on board with Hobo, hoping to get a look at it here. And he just binned it into turn 7 into the tire barriers, about where Adrian Sutil and Jules Bianchi did in 2014.
And we're back on board with the battle between Rage and Mitch via the overhead shot. In this race, like I said, these lovely camera views is brought to you by BRL Esports, your home for Xbox.
Rage is going for a move.
Action. Yes,
Speaking of action,
awesome.
And he makes the
He
pass.
went a little deep.
Makes it stick though. A little wide. He's going to get a warning for that.
And going back to the McLaren battle, somebody is going to have to tell these boys to calm down, because they are absolutely scrapping like it is the fight for their life here, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think the tires are starting to go away from Ard just a little bit, but he's got a 6-second gap, and I think he's just maintaining that right now as he locks up just a little bit into the hairpin. He's got a decent gap on these guys.
As you say that, he loses a quarter of a second through the first second.
And that's what I'm telling you, is those tires are going to start falling away. And now Alper is all over the back of Maverick. I think he's going to probably have a go up towards 130R or down the front straightaway, one of the two. And I think he's going to make it stick and go away from his teammate here, because those tires on the 43 car are just starting to fall away.
Let's see if he makes a move here. He has plenty of DRS, plenty of slipstream.
Is he going to go for it? Nope, he's not going to go for it here. Runs a little wide on the exit.
Oh, will he go for a dive bomb? No, he won't.
Went for the outside. He's trying to do the cutback.
Maverick,
there he goes. Not quite.
Oh, running by there.
He can have DRS though. Can he get a run?
He's got plenty of DRS. The Maverick does too. He can feel him.
Yep. So into turn one, they maintain position. I got a feel that this is hurting Alva's race a little bit, being stuck behind Maverick.
It certainly is, considering he is on the part of the compound tires. There's an incident in Sector 3. There's Capone. He has gone around for a bit of a spin, but he has no wing damage, so he should be fine.
Looking down the
Racing
field
is all over Mitch.
That's what I was about to say. He has caught up to Mitch. Mitch runs wide.
Oh, Mitch! Oh!
Racing has to avoid him. There is no telling how they saved that, or how they didn't make contact during that.
That is some flawless shot between those two of you, and I am sorry I interrupted you. That was just an absolute incredible incident.
Mitch runs wide. He's going to lose the position. Yeah, I was about to bring attention. I was about to bring attention to the gap between those two, because it had closed up significantly. Again, Mitch on those red super soft tires just losing a little bit of pace as we go on here. We're getting on to lap 8 now, so I think we should be seeing the super soft runners all start diving into the pits in the next lap or 2. Maybe 3 at the most, but I think by lap 10 they're basically done. They need to get off them.
And speaking of gaps, if you look at the gaps in the field, everybody's pretty spread out with a few guys having very... Oh! Maverick about lost it. He about lost it through that bump.
Very easy to unsettle the car, and Alec is going to just steam around the outside of him. Maybe. No, they're going to go too wide. Oh!
Two.
And he does a switchback.
He's going to do the crossover. Oh! They ran into each other. Oh, but is he going to come across the track? Please tell me you're not going to come across the track. Jamaican's about to run into this. Is Maverick out of the way?
He's moving again. He's rolling. He is rolling, but he has spun. Those tires are going to be toast. They're hot as all heck. And ball. Look, there's a Force India around as well. That was Spoon Hobo.
Oh, and right in front of some of the leaders.
He is now a lap down. He is just trying to get that car righted. As Jamaica Baller gets a 3-second time penalty, and Maverick. What is he doing? There he goes.
There he goes. But a couple guys picking up 3-second time penalties.
Yeah. Would have been better just to gas it and spin it around there, I think.
Oh, we have a battle for 5th. Jamaica and Maverick. I feel like Maverick. Oh, Jamaica went wide.
Yeah, he went very wide there. He's going to have to fall back in line behind the McLaren. He's quite a ways behind the McLaren now, actually. He's actually lost another position.
Whoa, Jamaica's left the session.
Oh, hello. That's interesting. So that promotes Van der Stark. As Ard. He has, and Ard has just hit the pits. He is now onto the soft tire, so is he planning a 2-stop strategy? Or does,
Possibly.
he think he can make this work all the way to the end? I think 17 laps is a bit much to ask, as Mitch gets a 3-second time penalty for the first time in this race, I believe.
And you would expect, as we're looking on board with Maverick through the pit stops, you figure for the BRL F2 drivers, this would be their race to capitalize. But just counting here, we already have 6, and I repeat that, 6 out of the 9 F2 regulars in this race have already retired.
Oof. Yeah, I think this would have been a good race just to kind of sit back and maybe take it easy. Because right now, the only F2 regulars we have left are Mitch, Slingshot, and Capone. And Spewing Hobo, who has come back into the pits for a new set of tires after blitzing the first set he had on there after that first stop, and a new nose as well.
Going through the battle for second, Racing is starting to make some headway on Rage here. I wonder if we can get him here before he makes his pit stop, which should be in a lap or two.
Going through the lapped car of Sparky there, ghosted out.
As Rage is pitted.
And just gets it under the limiter.
Looking at the telemetry here, he should be coming out just in front of Mitch here. We'll pay attention to the gap. Very good stop. As we'll see here,
we shall see if Mitch...
about to pass him. Mitch.
He's coming across the start-finish line now. Is he going to get to him? No.
I don't think so. I think Rage is going to be on cold tires, but the gap is still going to be about 2.5 seconds.
Indeed, because Mitch has now been out there on the medium tire for 2 laps, so he's going to try to do a 1-stop. Maverick has come in after his incident with his teammate and fitted the soft tire, so he'll be going probably for 2-stop at this point, I think. I think that's what a lot of these guys are going to be doing. They're going to be doing what they're either going to do is long stints on both the soft and the super soft, as Capone gets a 3-second time penalty, or they're going to do what Mitch has done and go for the super soft to medium strategy, which personally I think that's a better bet, because that medium is not going to give up nearly as much towards the end of the race as the soft is going to. As Maverick overtakes the ghosted Jamaican baller.
And we're getting notification that Jamaican needs to be re-invited to the race. Evidently, he got disconnected.
Oh, well, interesting. As Arg resets the fast lap of a 1:31.2 on his brand new set of soft tires.
But I certainly think with Jamaican getting disconnected, Mitch gets a 5-second stop and go. Corner cutting. Jamaican is going to be a little bit out of luck when it comes to his strategy here when he gets back. He should be able to go on the mediums, but those tires are going to be absolute garbage when he gets back into that car.
Yes, they are. Not to mention he'll be so far behind.
Capone! Capone! Keep it off the wall, son! Good job!
Oh!
Good job!
I just caught the tail end of that, but a slide through 130R is never a good thing, and he is... I think he's away enough from everybody else, it's not going to be an issue. And he spins again! I think he's on the super softs.
Behind him.
Yeah, he's on the super softs. He's only got 3 laps on him, though, so I can't imagine they're worn out unless he just looped it and overheated them. And
he's pit now.
Yep, he's wanting to get off them.
Oh, somebody.
That's Mitch. He's around.
Mitch
is around.
And he hit by Maverick. He's hit by Maverick.
He's lost the wing on that.
In this race?
Maverick's lost the right side of the wing.
And Slingshot's about to pass him. Mitch has damage, and Slingshot's about to pass him.
Maverick's out.
Maverick's retired. This is utter chaos.
It really is. And now, we've got a damaged Ferrari being chased by a healthy Mercedes, albeit...
Mitch is retired.
Oh, what? Unbelievable. What is going on?
Which means there are only 4 more drivers that are BRL F2 regulars left in this race. And that is Jamaican once he rejoins. I'm not sure if he's rejoined yet or not. It shows him in the pit, but I don't know if that's actually him or his ghost. Slingshot, Capone, and Spearing. As Spearing lets the ghost car of Sparky down.
Very interesting stuff going on this race. It's getting a little. It's almost getting weird.
I wonder if there's some disconnections going on, possibly, man. As I'm having to re-invite Jamaican again for some reason.
And Alderfer has
didn't
netted
get it
himself
first
a
time.
stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The McLaren driver will not be happy about that. He's done almost half the race on those soft tires. He goes onto the medium, so he's going from the middle
we got
compound.
a good battle for fourth. This is a good battle for fourth shaking up here.
You're right, Rager is
Trace
right on
me.
the back.
Will Trace me get out before them? Oh, this is going to be a good battle in the turn. Oh, 3 cars! And into turn 1!
And now Trace Me is on the outside. He's on cold tires. How's this going to end?
Oh, so close to the final podium position.
It is. Trace Me's on those cold tires. They've got Spewing Hobo directly in front of them. Is he going to be a pick for these guys? Is he going to hold up Trace Me? No, he gets out of the way. And
Oh, Spewing! Vander had to slam on the brakes to avoid getting hit by the lap car of Spewing. I saw Spewing try to get out of the way right there at the end, and that cost Vander some time.
that cost him a lot of time. He is now 2 seconds down on Rager, so he is out of the DRS zone. And Spewing is still in the way. He's getting in the way. I think he's spun around. No, he's not quite spun around, but he definitely got way out of shape into the hairpin there. Anyway, back to this battle for the final podium position. Formula Rager is right on the back of Trace Me, whose tires are starting to come up in temperature, but those medium tires do take a couple of laps. And they're coming off in the back of Sparky's ghosted car, so that'll give a little bit of relief down the straightaway to the Williams.
And don't forget to keep, as Rage goes wide, keep your eyes on the delta between Ard and Aldifer. Aldifer doesn't have to make another stop. Ard does. If Aldifer can keep the gap around under 15, 16 seconds, he'll be in good shape heading into the final few laps.
He can.
It depends on Ard's pace.
I think Ard's going to go for another set of the softs, which towards the race will give him a decent speed advantage if he doesn't go for another set of the supers. But here's the thing, is you have to remember that Aldifer picked up that 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Unless he's already served that. That'll be something we have to wait until the end of the race to see. So if Ard is going to do another stop, and he's not going to try and stretch those softs all the way to the end, which I think is a bit of a big ask, to do 17 laps on a set of softs, this is getting very interesting at the front.
Like I said, we don't know what the delta is going to be on those special set of tires, but I'm assuming Ard is going to pit with around 8 to go, so in about 4, maybe 5 laps-ish. It's going to be all about gaining the time that he loses in this stint. And as of right now, he'll only have to make up about 9 seconds.
Exactly, and he's not losing all that much to the McLaren right now. The McLaren's starting to really in just a little bit, a few tenths here and there. And Beef Baby has now left the session.
Mr. Beef Baby is, man.
Yeah. I think he was out quite early, though.
I think
he's
he was,
just been
too. I
watching.
think he was just watching the race.
Right. Closest battle on track at the moment. Slingshot is right on the back of Jamaican Baller. I think Jamaican is back in his car. Nope, he's ghosted, I think. Yeah, he's ghosted.
And this was supposed to be a race for drivers to be able to capitalize on other people's mistakes. But as of right now, the top F2 regular in the race is Slingshot.
It is. Let me look at where he's at in the points right now.
He is currently 5th in the points at the moment.
What is that win going to do for him?
Oh, he goes a little wide. He's battling the Ghost Guard Jamaican, but he doesn't really need to worry about Jamaican as of right now, unless he's able to get back in the lobby.
In which case, then he's got all the work to do because he's on a set of softs. He's got 3 laps on those. They're not going to go all the way to the end of the lap. So I think that battle's effectively over because Slingshot's on a brand new set of softs.
But if Slingshot can hold on to this and not make any mistakes and not lose time to Capone or Spooling, and if Jamaican doesn't rejoin the race here and be able to pass him, Timmy Slingshot will move up from 5th to 2nd in the points.
And how many would he be off of his teammate? He'd be off of his teammate there.
He would be a total of 17 points. But the gap from 2nd to 4th with both Sparky and Avenge retiring before 90% of this race is complete, which means none of the drivers who have retired in this race will get points because they retired before 90% of the race was complete. There will be 3 drivers within 3 points for 2nd in the championship following this race, as it stands.
Very interesting. Tightens things up quite a bit. Speaking of tightening things up, let's check back up at the front. So Trace Me has pulled away from Rager by 2.7 seconds, now almost 3 seconds, as they come up towards the hairpin. Rager's on a slightly older set of mediums by 3 laps. Aldifer is on the same age tires as Trace Me, only 4 seconds up the road. So, if Aldifer has not already served that 5-second stop-go penalty, that could bring Trace Me into play for 2nd place here.
Indeed. Oh, we got a local yellow sector 1. And that is for Spooling, who he's just had an unfortunate race. He had a very strong showing at Bahrain, had a decent showing at France, but unfortunately Japan has just not been his cup of tea today.
This place bites, and when it bites hard.
And as we're looking here, Rage is sort of falling back a little bit. So is Tracy. But notice Oliver, in the past 4 laps, he has gained about 2 seconds.
He has. He's gained about 2 seconds on Ard. He's on a younger set of mediums than Ard's softs are. So Ard's softs are going to start to go off. I think here, like you were mentioning, in the next lap or 2, he should be diving for the pits. Probably going to go for the super softs if he makes another stop. He may just be trying to nurse these tires home, which it's a big ask, but then again, we've seen some wild things before out of this guy.
There's no way. At the rate he's going to go, local yellow sector 2, let's see if I can see that. That's
Capone's out.
He's retired. Another regular. Oh my goodness me.
So unless Jamaican Baller gets back in the car,
to just 3 drivers that are BRL F2 regulars. Oh my goodness. Virtual safety car out. Will R dive into the pits here? It'll be a very opportune time.
I think he's got to. No, he doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
What? What on earth?
I mean, he could have drove in and did it. Even though we've got 9 laps left, that might be a little too far for supers. But he could have even dove in for softs and been in great position.
He could have. What on earth? Back on the green now, and he's pulled 3 seconds on Aldifer under that virtual safety car. Somehow he's pulled a huge amount of time. But I'm questioning the decision to not dive into the pits there. Will that come back to haunt him?
I think it might, because Aldifer is absolutely lowering the gap here. As I say that, he loses about a 1/4 of a second. But the gap was about 11.7. The gap is now about 12.7. It's going to be really close. I think it's going to come down to the last lap here between those 2 drivers.
Could we see some Kimi and Fisichella antics into turn 1 on the final lap?
Stay tuned.
Or will we see a Schumacher Alonso into 130R? You never know.
And we are now up to a BRL F2 stream high of 9 viewers, and a BRL esports in general. We now have 9 Twitch viewers currently live at the moment, so thank you all for that.
All right.
We are continuing our coverage, as these are going to be very dramatic final moments. When will Ard hit? That is the question.
When will Ard pit, and will Ard pit? You say yes, I say maybe.
I don't think he can there for Ard, because those tires are going to be shot. I mean, Artifer, he's making maybe about half a second to a second a lap here, but that's not going to be enough. If he wants any shot in these final few laps, he's going to have to go to about a second and a half a lap here he's gaining. And I don't know if his tires can do it.
The question is, when do the softs start falling away? And that is the all-important question. I think he's got about another 4 or 5 laps of really good pace out of these tires, and then it's going to start falling away. He might be a second or 2 off the pace, and that is when, if he stays out, will be the deciding factor. I think he might come in at the end of this lap, though. He's got a lot of ERS left, though. He's at 80-odd%. Alderfer is at 30. Alderfer's running around in... Yeah, Alderfer's running around in mode 3. He's trying to just close that gap down as much as possible. Just push Ard into destroying his tires by trying to keep the gap, but I just don't think he's going to be close enough at the end of the race if it stays like this. As he goes under the Kobo.
And somebody we don't need to rule out here. Tracy is catching Alderfer by about a half a second a lap now. And I believe he pitted 1 lap later than Alderfer. So this should be interesting as Ard stays out another lap.
If he can make it work, then props to him.
And as I say that, the gap has gone down a second now from the last lap, but he's going to have to pick it up. Like I said, it's going to have to be about a second and a half, a second and 3/4 a lap to do it. As Tracy does another half second inroads on Alderfer. If Ard
he's almost going to
have
to. If Ard pits here, he's going to drop back to 4th. But if he doesn't,
you're right.
If he doesn't pit, then Alderfer is going to have to start clawing back almost at the end of this lap. He's going to have to start clawing back 2 seconds a lap, which I just don't think is. I don't think that's going to be possible, even if Ard's tires start to fall away in the last couple of laps. I don't think it's going to be possible.
If Ard pits here, he's going to have to worry about 2 things. 1, he's going to drop back to 4th. Rage, Tracy, and Alderfer are no slouches. They are in BRL F1 for a reason, as we have a local yellow. So he's going to do that. And 2, Tracy is making inroads, but I think he actually spun through the middle sector. So as I say that, Tracy has lost pretty much all hope of second here, unless Alderfer has more time penalties, because Tracy has done a half spun through the middle sector and has lost 3.5 seconds.
He has, so that gives Alderfer a little more breathing room when it comes to that secure second place.
And now that brings close it up to a second.
It does, but there's a 3-lap difference between their tires. I'm not sure if he could have gotten it under a second. I think he might have had a shot at him just because the DRS will tow you along down that front straightaway and just keep you right up against the back of the car in front.
Well, he's only about 1.5 seconds back. Is that a little bit of slipstream? Yes. Is it enough to do much of a difference? No. So he should be fine heading through the S's, but he's going to go in a couple of tenths, get a little bit of slipstream.
Indeed, and then 41 seconds back of those two, currently coming through the spoon curve, is Vander in the lone Alfa Romeo in this race. He's had a very lonely race for a while here. He's 41 seconds back of the car in front of him and 22 ahead of the car behind him. But he's just having a nice, quiet 5th place run here.
And just going back to the field, Ard will have to do some flat traffic here. Slingshot is fairly close in front of him here, as well as such drivers as Spoon and Jamaican, who are lappers, who might cause a little bit of a disturbance.
This is true.
Having to get out of the way of somebody. Is he going to hold someone up? No, he just held up the ghost car. I don't know why he's pulling off to the side for that, but he's being respectful nonetheless. And we're seeing once again, will Ard hit?
No, He doesn't.
I think it's safe to say now that he's going to try to take these softs to the end, but they are going to be absolutely dead these final 5 laps.
They are, and if Oliver starts closing down because his tires start going away, as he's sliding quite a bit through turn 1 there. But if Oliver starts closing down on him more and more and more, he's going to be tempted to start pushing those tires, and that just increases the likelihood of a puncture, which would be absolutely detrimental at this stage of the race. I think you're right. I think he's committed to trying to go to the end on these tires. There's no telling how worn they are as far as the percentages goes.
I don't think he can gain 2 seconds a lap, even though he's got fresher tires and Art has worn tires. I don't think he can do it. And just noting here, Sparky is out of the race. He retired on track, so his ghost car is there. He will get no points, along with Jamaican, who cannot get back into the race. For some reason, it black screens when he does it. So at the moment, we only have 7 runners.
Well, alrighty then.
And I really expected Rage here to really lose touch with Trace Me as soon as Trace Me started running, but it's only about a 2-second gap here.
He's only lost about 5/10 since that little half spin that Trace Me had. I think Trace Me might have overheated the tires when he did that, and he's having to kind of sit back and cool them off a bit just to get the drivability back in the car.
All Art has to do is maintain the gap. He just does not, as long as he doesn't lose about 2.5 seconds a lap, as Vander gets a time penalty, as long as he doesn't lose about 2.5 seconds a lap here, he should be fine. But he is running with no ABS. This is his only, I think this is his first league race with no ABS, so kudos to him.
Yes, both is Alder running with no ABS as well?
I believe he is running with no ABS as well.
Well, they're both doing very well, considering it's the first actual race they've done without it. Sometimes when you turn it off and you go into a race for the first time, it can be a bit hectic. You'll be locking up left, right, and center. You kind of have to adjust your driving style as he locks up just a hair going into the hairpin there.
And he's lost about a second this lap so far, but like I said, Alderfer just isn't making the inroads he needs to.
No, he is not. I think Ard is just going to nurse that Toro Rosso home, and then we're going to see him take the checkered flag in first place.
And as we are coming to the final laps here for Larry, I'm going to ask you 2 things here. One, who is your driver of the day?
Driver of the day has got to be Van der Star. As far as just the overall
what
race.
is your reasoning for that?
The reasoning for that is just how far back he started. You remember he crashed out in qualifying, I think, or he got crashed out in qualifying. Started right down the back of the field and just has made this work to absolute perfection, get in front of everybody except for the four guys basically started at the front of the race in Ard, Alder, Trace Me, and Rage. Aside from them, he's utilized this medium to soft strategy to get his way up to 5th. I think he would have got there anyway, but he's made moves consistently, and he's improved his position in the race.
And he's been in some very hairy situations. We saw the incident with spinning. He had to get out of the gas, mind his P's and Q's, be careful about that. We saw him battling with Slingshot and Trace Me earlier, some just excellent driving by him to keep his head cool and keep his head down and focus on the task ahead.
Indeed. Same question to you.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to give you my BRL F2 driver of the day. That is hands down going to go down to Slingshot. He has drove an excellent race. He's been in some incredible battles in the midfield, like you said. The midfield was going to be action-packed with battles. He's kept his head cool, and at the end of this race, even though he's 6th right now, he's going to move up in front of all the BRL F1 drivers, and he's going to secure himself 25 points and move up to, I believe it's 2nd in the points here, if not 3rd. I believe it's going to be 2nd.
I can wholeheartedly agree with that. He is so far been the class of the F2 field, with all the other drivers aside from retiring from the race. He's kept it on the track.
And I think that's the main thing here. We saw at the beginning of the race, it wasn't that chaotic, but then we saw Avenge. We saw Mitch. We saw Sparky all getting into little incidents with F1 drivers, which we expected, but we didn't expect the amount of it also. As Capone is retired, Sparky's retired, Jamaican is retired, Digiclip is retired, CJ is retired, Mr. Beef Baby is retired. Everybody but 2 F2 regulars have retired from this race. And they're obviously going to be rewarded the most for just keeping it clean and minding their P's and Q's and getting to the finish of this race.
Speaking of the finish of the race, Ard is coming through the spoon curve onto the back straightaway up towards 130R. And I think he's got the ghost car Sparky right in front of him, if I'm not mistaken. He does. Nope, that's not Sparky. That's.
You noticed Aldifer has cut it down to about 8 seconds now, 8.5. But I don't think Ard is going to do anything too crazy here.
No. I think he might even just slot in behind Slingshot, or Slingshot might pull over and let him go by here on the final lap. Yes.
He will. Slingshot's a veteran. He knows, obviously, he hasn't had the best of races, but he's certainly had probably one of the most clean of races. He's been smart. He's just getting his finish in. And a quick note here, Rage has closed in the gap to about half a second. It was 1.7 a second ago. As I say that, it's now 2.1. But we are on to the final lap of this race. If you want to go on board with Ard, since he is going to be the winner, quote-unquote, for this race, I'll go on board with Slingshot, who will be the F2 winner of this race.
So coming through the hairpin for Ard, you can see the wear on his tires. The inside shoulders of those tires, of those Pirellis, are just starting to wear away. He is definitely getting down into the secondary rubber of those tires. Is he going to be able to make it back around? I think even if he does have a puncture, as long as it's not going through the high-speed left of 130R, I think he'll be able to hang on for the win and do an incredible job of getting those soft tires to go 17 laps around this circuit. He's through 130R into the Casio Triangle chicane and off the final corner. Exactly, right behind him, and off the final corner, here comes the Toro Rosso. Ard's going to win the F2 race in Japan. Slingshot wins the F2 class.
Slingshot picking up 25 points. He's going to be absolutely thrilled with that result. And Spooning also, it's going to be a ninth place in the race in general, but he will pick up 18 F2 championship points.
And Trace Me hangs on to third place by 4/10 due to penalties.
What a battle for the final podium position.
Unbelievable. He almost threw it away with that last penalty.
Let's get both Ard, Aldifer, and, or do you want to do the regular race podium finishers in the podium interviews, or do you want to do Slingshot and Spewing, or just Ard, Slingshot, and Spewing? What do you want to do here?
I say, well, it's your series. You call the shots here.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. What would be best? You know what? Let's just get all 5 of them in here.
That'll work. It'll take a minute, but that'll work.
Let me take a picture of the results here. We're getting Ard, Aldifer, and Trace Me, the just race in general podium finishers in here. And we will be getting the F2 quote-unquote podium finishers in here, Slingshot and Spin.
And
as you see, Ard
out on the
top of the podium. As the screen hopefully loads, I will get a picture of the results.
So a race dominated by F1 drivers, as you would have expected at this extremely technical and difficult track. But a couple of the F2 guys, they made an appearance.
They made the most of it, is
They
what to
did.
say. Something they like Slingshot and Spoon. They obviously kept their minds and cues, and they just avoided the incidents. And they're going to be rewarded by both moving up significantly in the points.
Exactly, and that is what is so great about this F2 series is just the F2 drivers getting points no matter where they finish. So you get this mixed bag in a situation like this of guys who gain points when their competitors DNF, like we saw Mitch just have a bit of a silly spin, honestly, at the hairpin, and then Maverick coming by and collecting him, and both of them retiring from the race because of
Mitch's
that.
accelerator pedal broke.
Oh,
He
Yeah.
was hung. He was hung wide open.
oh, that is
Yeah,
horrible.
that was bad. Let's get Trace Me and Spoon in here. So what are we going to be doing? Like me and Ferrari mentioned, we were going to get the regular, just race in general, podium finishers in here, and then we will also be getting the F2 podium finishers in here as well. If I can find Spoon's name. Give me a moment here.
Did you catch me and Maverick's battle where he spun out on the stream?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Dude, I got so scared. I thought he was trying to take me out or something. I was like, "What is he doing?" And then I saw his car going off. I was like, "Oh, thank God, I'm still going straight."
Yeah,
that was
Deer
crazy.
and I were we were a bit both perplexed and alarmed when that happened because you two had been fighting each other for a couple of laps, and then that happened.
We were just having a good, fun fight. Like, neither of us cared about this race. We were just out there to have fun. And then, I mean, he was faster than me, so I let him back through. And then I like was right on his butt 2 laps later. His tires started to die off, I guess, and I was able to just keep getting runs on him. Like, I was behind him in low and lean and just staying right behind him the whole lap and then trying to kick it up and get him on the straight. And we kept going into turn 1 like that. I was just having a blast, but then whenever he did that crossover and I did a crossover, I knew it wasn't going to end well, and I knew one of us was going to go off.
All right, make sure everybody has included your audio, or do you have your audio included?
I do.
Aldifer, do you have your audio included?
Yep.
Trace Me, do you have your audio included?
Yep.
Slingshot, do you have your audio included? You go up to the box where it says include audio in the top of the party.
Yeah, you got to go into the party. There'll be a little check box
Yeah,
right
I
there.
got
You
you.
just click on it.
You're done.
Got your audio included? All right. Spewing, do
Yes.
you have your audio included?
Yep.
All right, let's start off here, Ferrari, with just the regular race podium finishers. Ard, how in the world did you get those softs to the end? We've got to know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that Alderfer only took his, 13 or 14 laps.
Yeah, they were
And
dead.
my first stint was really well. I figured I could take him 15 because I know he put a quali lap on those tires. So, yeah, no, I knew that when I came out on the softs, I was going to have to pace them really well, not use them up right away. So I was at least in Sector 1 and most of Sector 2, I was in standard and low and standard ERS just to pace my tires at the end because I think on the last lap, all 4 tires were in the mid-60s. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I just paced them pretty well. And I mean, considering the fact that was my first league race with no ABS, I think it went pretty all right.
Well, was there any thought there at the end when that virtual safety car came out? Those final, from lap 18 to lap 22, me and Ferrari could not get over the fact that you weren't pitting. We thought you were certainly going to go for the supers. Did you even think at all about going to the supers under virtual safety car, or were you sticking to the softs to the end no matter what?
I was going to stick with the soft to the end no matter what. And when the VSC came out, that just kind of, I thought for a second to go in for supers, but I wasn't sure if the gap was large enough for me to do that and come back out ahead of him. But after that VSE, I just kind of thought that this could surely help me get the soft to the end of the race. I mean, it was only like 3 or 4 corners, but it did help a little bit. So yeah, I was gonna stick with the softs no matter what, really. Like I said, I paced them pretty well, so I feel like they could make them to the end. If there were a few more laps in the race, I think I would have been in trouble. But they were all right.
Well, you absolutely drove a flawless race for your first race with no ABS. We both commented that on the booth that how several drivers were running with no ABS for the first time in this race, and you absolutely drove a fantastic race. Hold on right there. We'll get to you again here in a second. Ferrari Nut, do you want to take questions for the second place driver, Oliver?
Oh, this should be
I will.
interesting. Didn't we have a squabble on this track a week ago?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all
yeah.
water under the bridge, mate. Anyway, so first race with no ABS. Describe that experience to us.
That wasn't my first race with no
Oh, I
ABS.
was
That was
about
my
to say,
first
oh,
race
it
with my
wasn't.
new
That's
springs.
That's my
Wow.
bad.
That's
Oh,
my
well,
first
in that
race
case-
with these new springs. So as you can see, I need some practice with these new springs on these pedals.
Well, you need that with any change. It's going to feel completely different. So,
I mean, it wasn't
Did
too
you-
bad. Whenever I wasn't in traffic, the car handled okay. But like whenever Maverick and I were going at it, I would have a lack of front end grip basically, and the tires kept locking up every so often. The biggest struggle was whenever I was trying to pass him down the front straight, and he'd make me have to go out to the left to try to get the pass done. I literally could not find any grip over there in the braking zone, and I sailed wide out over the curbs a couple times.
yeah, we saw that a couple times, and then you finally made it work with that cutback, which unfortunately led to the spin. Did you think Ard was going to be able to make 17 laps on those softs work, or do you think he was going to suffer a blowout or just a severe loss of grip?
This is going to sound really horrible, but I never even looked up to notice that he was on softs.
Yeah,
I
at
took
the
my
end, I was
softs
like, I can't
when I
believe
did a
made the softs
quali.
left. He was like, you were on softs?
Yeah, I had no idea. Like I took my softs. Yes, I did a quali run on them, so that's 3 laps already on the tires. But I could only take them to about lap 13, and my rears were at 70, and my fronts were at 65. So I had no idea that you could even make that work and keep pace here. So I went with the mediums, but to be honest, I never even looked up over at the leaderboard at Art. I kept looking at Trace Me because whenever I pulled into pit lane, my AI like slammed the wall, and then it said that I had a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane entry, and I was like, "What in the f?" And so I was literally just paying attention to Trace Me's delta to my car to just try to make sure I was in front of him. But then with like 3 to go, I asked my Jeff, and he got a 3-second time penalty, so I just kind of called it quits and just kind of held right there to save my tires because my rears were roasted by that time.
What were your tires at? Your mediums at the end of the race?
My mediums at the end of the race were at 55 on the rear and 50 on the front. But I messed up and I moved my ballast down 1 and I should have left it up. So I was really having to struggle through sector 1. So,
Well,
but
let's
all
move
in all,
on
it was a good race.
to Trace Me here. Hold tight there, guys. We'll add something a little bit here at the end. But Trace Me, you got third. It's a podium. To be honest, I cannot remember the last time I've seen you in a league race or a race in general getting a podium. So this must be a bit of
might have been last
a bit
year.
of a confidence boost. Showing that
Don't
you
leave
can
out the fact
hang
he
with-
started in 14th and drove to 3rd.
He did. He started deep in the field with some of the BRL F2 regulars having to fight your way through that. We saw you in some incredible battles with Slingshot and Vander, and certainly with Rage. What was your strategy starting that far back in the race? Were you being slow and methodical, or were you just going gun blazing, get as fast to the race?
I was gonna start 5th, but my double right hander in 22 got invalidated.
Ah. So that obviously started you far in the back. Did you stick to a strategy and let it roll?
I could probably put the same strategy what Art did, but I didn't think about that. I didn't think about Super's gonna last that long.
Well, how does this make you feel? You got a P3. It's not for any points, but does this give you a bit of a confidence booster heading into the last races of this F1 season that you could possibly put up a fight next season?
I honestly, I got a little more pace for the last couple of races. And I might have had a little battle with Oliver later on, but some my cars
Yeah,
got my way.
we noticed you were closing in, but then you lost some time. But like I said, you've gained some pace over the past few weeks. We certainly see it on BRL F1 on Friday nights at 10 Central, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. But now let's move on very quickly to our BRL F2 essential race winners here. When it comes to the point slingshot, you will be bagging 25 championship points as a result of your finish today. How does that make you feel? This has to be a big sigh of relief to essentially get a win after the past few weeks of struggles for you.
Well, I'll take it any way I can get it. First of all, my thing is just to remain consistent. I know that if you do that, you can get further than you think. So I'm a whole lot of confidence. I know I need to work on it a little bit more, get a little bit more speed. My problem is actually breaking in the corners. I need to work on that. But other than that, I feel good. Thanks for asking, sir.
And we noticed that you were probably one of the most consistent drivers out there in the grid today. You had some amazing battles between you, Trace Me Rage, Vanderstark. Y'all had incredible battles. But like I said, this is 25 championship points. Me and Ferrari were talking about it while the race was going on. We think you're going to be up to second in the points following this race. What kind of momentum does that give you as we're about almost halfway through the season now?
That gives me a lot of momentum, man. I I'm like just basically going out there doing the best I can. I am actually surprised about that. I didn't even think about it from that standpoint, but you're right. I'm actually last man standing, almost one of the last man standing. So again, I'll take it, and that'll give me a little push to practice a little bit more, and hopefully I can actually keep up a little bit better with the pack and continue to win or continue to get good points.
So it was absolutely a great race from you. Ferrari, do you want to take over for Spilling here, who essentially is getting second for the F2 drivers, getting up 18 points?
He is going to take the second position points from this race because sometimes in order to finish first, you must first finish, which is going to be the case with these two. All of your competitors fell by the wayside. What was the key to staying in the race for you today?
Just concentrating, really, hoping for the best, and in a way, when people just kept on dropping like flies, I was over the moon because I knew I could slowly but surely, even though I was right at the back, I could just pull through, and thankfully, I managed to stay on track.
We noticed that at a few points in the race, the car was facing the wrong way. Just haven't.
Just a little.
But despite that, you've still brought it home, and you're getting 18 points from it.
Yep.
Did you just have a bit of a balance issue with the car, or just overdriving it, or what was the main cause of all that?
It's just Japan in general. I've just never been able to do Japan, and then the F1 game. So I just it was just ultimately just a struggle and just trying to keep control of it. Going around the corners at that speed is a bit nightmarish, and then I think my car just preferably wanted to go 360 most of that race, so I was quite happy just to let it do what I wanted to do.
Well, on a track that you're not particularly fond of, shall we say, not a bad result then. Good points for the championship,
definitely.
moves you up a good bit. And how do you feel going into the second half of the season for you guys?
Fingers crossed, as long as I don't spin anymore, the track should be in my favour, so fingers crossed I can actually get a wiggle on and perform decently.
We look forward to it. Deer Hunter, back to you. I think we got a few more points to make with Ard here.
All right, I'm just going to go down the list of drivers, and if y'all have any statements to
Thanks,
make,
Hard.
please do so as we close here. Ard, do you got anything to say about that race, the competition, just the race in general?
I thought it was pretty fun. I enjoyed my first race with no ABS. I think that was not the right tire strategy. I think I got pretty lucky with that, to be honest. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
But
My
it
tire,
was a very good
my
race
tire,
by
my
you.
tires were done at the end. They were done.
Alrighty, that is gonna close out this stream of the BRL F2 race in Japan. We had a mixed bag of F1 drivers coming in and running the race along with the F2 regulars. It was a struggle for the F2 regulars and some of the F1 drivers, but it turned out to be a great race. We had action all throughout the field, almost the entirety of the race. And that's all you can ask for in a race like this. We had a lot more DNS than we would have liked, but that's just a result of hard, close racing. This has been Deer Hunter 82270 from BRO Esport, your home for F1 2018 action-packed racing on Xbox. Ferrari, take it to you.
Folks, that is going to wrap up this broadcast, and we hope to see you back next race in Brazil. Probably one of the shorter tracks on the calendar as far as lap time. I think there's only one track that might have a shorter lap time, depending upon the conditions, and that is Monaco. So this place tends to produce some very close racing and some wild overtakes down into Turn 1 and the Senna S. Deer Hunter, what can we expect next week?
Brazil, I think it's going to be action-packed once again, especially have some of these BRL F1 drivers jumping down into F2 again. I think we will see more of the bottom half of the F1 drivers making the jump down to F2. So we can sort of evaluate the difference in pace between some of the drivers and see which guys can possibly move up to F1 next season and which drivers need to be moved down into F2 so we can make both tiers as quick as possible. But it's all a part of it's. We're all here for the racing. We're all here for the action-packed racing, and we saw it here today. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to see absolutely phenomenal racing. Next Monday night, 7 Central, BRO F2, brought to you by BRO Esports.
And with that, folks, we wish you all a good night. And also, our hearts go out to the folks in Paris with the fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral. Any final thoughts, Deer Hunter?
Just like you said, man, to the fire, the victims of the fire. This Twitch stream broadcast is we send all our condolences and our hearts out to those people. We are racers at heart, but we are also people too, and we give certainly our prayers out to them as we close this stream.
All right, guys.
And
You guys take it easy.